This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. It's been 100 years, but the Vatican is now expected to return Indigenous artifacts to Canada. As Dan Karpinchuk reports, Indigenous communities are preparing for the return of the sacred items.
The museum in the Vatican City has held the artifacts since 1925, but in a few weeks an announcement is expected that will see the return of dozens of artifacts that could be back in Canada by the end of the year. Indigenous communities have been calling on the Catholic Church for decades to return them. The National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations, Cindy Woodhouse-Nepenak, has described the artifacts as living, sacred pieces of Indigenous cultures and ceremonies and must be treated as the invaluable objects they are. Cody Grote is an assistant professor of history and Indigenous studies at Western University in Ontario.
To us, these aren't just artifacts that we're going to put behind a glass case. These are ancestors in their own right. They have their own sentience, their own being. So when we repatriate these cultural items, we have to recognize that there's ceremony associated with that. This can't just be a transfer from one box to another to an institution. These are ancestors who need to be welcomed back with ceremony and cultural protocol.
Grote says it's not exactly clear what artifacts are held by the Vatican, but an exhibit at the Vatican in 1925 also published a catalogue of specific artifacts, and that's a starting point, he says, to find out what else might be in the collection. Grote also says the artifacts are expected to be transferred to the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops and that the Canadian Museum of History is expected to act as an intermediary. He also says it's important that in all points of the process, First Nations need to be part of the discussions, as he's sure there will be challenges, since the process is expected to be long and slow, but also one that is long overdue. For National Native News, I'm Dan Karpinchuk.
The play Blue Jay's Canoe about loss, resilience, and the power of Native stories opens next month. Brian Bull, senior reporter for Buffalo's Fire, has this preview.
The story centers around Blue Jay, a DJ at a fictional tribal radio station in Oregon's Willamette Valley.
And good afternoon, and a good day it is indeed.
Kirby Brown plays Blue Jay, who informs and entertains his listeners through the COVID-19 pandemic and the 2020 wildfires. But Blue Jay also struggles.
One of Blue Jay's tragic flaws is that he just doesn't ask for help. When the stuff starts hitting the fan, that's when we got to hold each other tight.
The big mystery in the play surrounds an incomplete wooden canoe Blue Jay has in storage. The reason why it's been left undone unearths a past tragedy, which has given Blue Jay survivor's guilt. Marta Lou Clifford and Theresa May co-wrote Blue Jay's Canoe. Both have specific lessons they'd like the audience to leave with.
I want them to leave with the importance of stories, the importance of family, and how they are all connected.
Indigenous stories are not artifacts. They're not myths from some time past. They carry knowledge for the present.
The storyline also weaves in traditional teachings and legends, told through a spirit person named Heron, who will eventually be key to solving the show's mystery.
Did you ever hear a story that saved your life?
Blue Jay's Canoe runs through November 23rd at the Very Little Theater in Eugene. For National Native News, I'm Brian Bull.
U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski, chair of the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs, and Vice Chair U.S. Senator Brian Schatz are hosting a hearing Wednesday on the impacts of the federal government shutdown and tribes. Witnesses are leaders from national Native organizations, including in areas of health and education. The hearing in Washington will also be streamed online. I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Support by AARP, whose Family Caregiver Resource Guide is available to caregivers by calling 877-333-5885 or at aarp.org/caregiver-resources.
Skugtash. For more than 40 years, Ramona Farms has revived ancient traditional foods, tepary beans, pinoli, polentas, and more, all from store.ramonafarms.com. Ramona Farms supports this show. Tom Nye.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.